Hey everybody, it is March 2nd, and this is another edition of Two Queers in the Truck. I'm DJ Gunn and my co-host Christian Cano, rocking it out over there with his backwards hat and the rainbow frame. I love
How do
it.
you like
How you
that?
doing, Christian? Long time no see.
Good. How you doing,
Been
dancing
forever.
queen?
Yes, queen. Yes, queen. Anyway, we've had an eventful week.
Yeah.
Not as eventful as the people, unfortunately, in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And last week we were talking about if um, Putin and Russia was going to invade. Now, obviously, we know the answer. I think we're
That's
about
crazy.
4 or 5 days into the invasion. And our thoughts and prayers and all of our love and everything else that the European Union and Biden can throw at them. Hopefully, cooler heads will prevail. We won't actually have World War III.
Yeah.
But I am happy to see that Biden is keeping it calm, keeping a smart game plan, and is working with our allies over there in Europe and the rest of the world to prohibit this cruel and evil attack on democracy and on a neighbor that absolutely did not provoke this or engage with this, that is an act of democracy, that is a friend of the other Western European countries, and just the heroism of their president, all the way down to little old ladies giving the Russian troops the finger and handing them sunflower seeds and going, "We're going to plant this on your grave," and I'm just like, I love the shade. And unfortunately, they have to do that. It's just a wild time, and we have the privilege of being so far across both the ponds, the Pacific and Atlantic, that we don't have to worry about powerful neighbors invading us like those countries do. And it's happened before, unfortunately. And just what a powerful moment in history. What a sad chapter of history too, for people to even die because of somebody's ambitions. It's just awful. But anyway, how are you doing, Christian? Looks like, look, you're still on mute too. 2 years into this pandemic, and we're still not unmuted.
Sorry. I'm doing good. You brought me down now. I'm like, no, I'm joking. No, it is bizarre how much has changed just in a week. I mean, but I agree with you, Jenny. Our president, I know many people who don't like him will never, ever admit he's done anything good. So you're never going to convince them. But I think most rational people are very proud of our president on he's been able to gather NATO, all of our allies, and we have not been this unified since what they say World War II. That's what they're suggesting.
Well, I guess right after World War II, when we formed NATO and did it as a counter to the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc, the Iron Curtain as they called it, and because we saw the Soviet Union as such a threat. Maybe a little exaggerated to sell some nuclear weapons, but we definitely brought back a lot of old feelings. If you are old enough to remember the Soviet days,
I do,
and you and I both. Well, we grew up. Our main formative years were in the '80s, so we definitely remember, Reagan and Mr. Gorbachev tearing down that wall. We remember the Berlin Wall coming down, and I really thought these type of years were over. And truthfully, I mean, we thought, certainly we would never repeat history or allow somebody in Europe to do this, where there is so much money, there's so much power centered in Europe, and so much history of major wars and major divisions of this planet start and stop kind of in that that area. We've seen two world wars just kind of blow up there, and plunge our whole planet into just horrifically deadly consequences. So hopefully this will stay contained between these two countries, and we can break their economy enough to make them go, hey, hey, Vlad, we kind of need you to pull out.
Yeah.
I think all of his oligarch billionaire buddies might just pull him to the side and say, "We love you," and it's all
but
cool.
Not that much.
Hey, you're costing us a lot of money.
Hey,
and that's why you're in office, So
yeah, but didn't I say that last week that for some reason I just think like behind the scenes, I don't know why. I just feel like, Russian leaders have a tendency to be put to the side. Someone comes and says, "Listen, you either resign or we're gonna poison you," and that's just how their culture is. Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know why. I just think something bizarre is going to happen. I know this is Wednesday, March 2nd, but I have a feeling that by next week's show, things will be even more different than they were last week. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
At a moment of time where things have already been changing radically since he invaded the Ukraine just a few days ago, and how much people just aren't buying it. Even in Russia, they're buying it. They're not buying into his idea of justifying invasion. They're like, no.
I think he seriously miscalculated Europe and us. Yeah.
Well, he put himself in a situation where whether and maybe he just thought Biden was going to back down. Yeah, I think
he did. I don't think he thought we would back Biden.
Yeah, and it's just been the opposite of anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just us. Now, see, this is the thing. If it was us versus them, we don't have enough control over the world markets to have done what's going on right now. This is taking countries that even as of today that don't even normally take sides, like Sweden and Switzerland didn't even.
Yes, is that crazy?
In World War II. But yet, in this situation, they said, no, we're backing all of Europe.
Yes.
So I think the world sees this as a David versus Goliath deal. They see the heroic nature of President Zelensky and what he's doing, and he's even up on the front lines with rifles, and he's just, you see this larger than life figure that is just warming people's hearts and realizing that this is what, if we want to defend democracy, this is what defending democracy looks like, unfortunately, in some situations.
I don't know what our 6 topics are, but I do want to say something. I'll wait to one of our topics because I have a question for you. Yeah,
we are going to circle back, and
I'm sorry.
Some of our 6 topics will.
Sure.
We're going to talk about this again, so this is going away.
Okay.
Our first topic is going to be a little bit more lighthearted. This is going to be Aunt Jenny's tip of the day. So some people don't know that among many jobs that I do, one of them is I do a part-time, sometimes even full-time when I need the money. I do food delivery, and I love it. I love to turn on my iTunes and pick stuff up and drop it off. It's very thoughtless work. I don't have to think about it. I don't think about what I say.
I just not to spill the drink.
And all that. So the last delivery of the night before I headed home to prep for the show, I had through the system, customers can even text me after I've dropped off the delivery if something was made mistaken or whatever. Now, they don't see my number. It's a totally blind app related thing. But they texted me and they said, food isn't at my doorstep. Where was it left? I said, I left it right to the right of your door. Not here. I'm looking at the neighbors real quick. And then I thought, well, sometimes app, addresses go wrong. I said, what's your address? Because I wanted to make sure I was talking to the right people and I didn't want to give out somebody's address. And this is I'm already home. I'm pulling into my parking lot of my apartment building when this conversation's happening. So I'm already clocked out of the system and all that. And they give an address. It's about 8 miles from the address that they personally put into the app to get the food.
No.
And they go, did I put the wrong address? After they give me the address that they're currently at, and I went, Yeppers. And then they just put a little emoji that just has their hand there, like, So the moral of the story and the tip of the day is when you smoke out and smoke a little ganja weed, eat a little happy grass, always do it after you've secured your food delivery.
Exactly.
You have the food for your munchies when you smoke out. Never smoke before. Never smoke before, kids.
But Jen,
and that's
but
your
Jen,
tip of the day. Just the remember that.
But Jen, wouldn't their address automatically be in their app? Like it'd be like
you got
to
put it in, boo boo.
So they never ordered before then. I guess that's what
and or maybe they went over to his friend's house and
and did
you can change it before you order. Now once you start the order, you can't change it because it's a security protocol.
Okay, I see.
So if you change the address, then order. Once the order is locked in and paid for, you can't change it. For my
because I've only
otherwise they could text me during the delivery and say, "Oh, I need you to go over here," and they could be waiting in some barn in Union County with baseball bats. So it's a security protocol.
Yeah.
But in this case, they probably went over to maybe a parent's house or a friend's house to watch a ball game or something. Ordered, had the food sent there, and then forgot.
And then went.
At this address, I can't say the address on air.
Yeah.
The address I dropped the food off to was only a mile and a half from my place. The address they actually were at tonight was in South End.
So what happened? What happens in that? Yeah, what happens in that case? I mean, did the person who got it, they just get the food?
Yeah.
And then do they get a refund or do they? I guess they can request a refund. I mean,
they can request it, but I don't know what DoorDash, the delivery, app that I'm looking for actually does. Because they go, well, the driver took it to the address you put in there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're not like a some kind of mind reader or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Probably as a courtesy, they may give them a discount on the next order or something. Like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. They may make it good. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
But they knew.
Great tip, though. Great tip. It's
tip of the day. Always smoke the weed after you get it. Not even during the delivery, because if you fall asleep and the food sits out on your porch, it also gets nasty, especially in the summer with bugs. But always get the food first, so that when you get the munchies, then
that's
smoke.
A good point. Hey, that's a good point. That's actually really smart. Never thought. I don't.
A siesta with a full belly and full of weed. I mean, it just is like, but never before.
Hey, but don't you at least have to give them credit for ordering it to be delivered instead of going around while they're not able to drive properly?
No.
Okay.
You're always supposed to smoke afterwards. So
all right. I don't know
if they follow Aunt Jenny's rules of ordering food. You go while you're still sober. Go here. You go get the food. Grocery store. Get it delivered to you. Get you a bag of Snickers.
Jenny, I don't know what about the story you just told me that makes me crave Whataburger. I just had this craving for a Whataburger. I don't know. And I don't know what, something about that story I'm just like, man, I'm really.
It was a big old sack of really smelling Asian food too. Like it was really like I even said most of it was actually vegetarian. I look at it and go, well, they're gonna have a good time tonight. Like this is some good food. And lo and behold, whoever they got 4 entrees of really tasty high-end food tonight. Merry Christmas and Mazel Tov. Happy Ash Wednesday. Well, I mean they got it in a Fat Tuesday special.
Right. That's right.
We're going to go on, and we are going to go to the what I like to call is the Tin Foul Hat Award. Oh no. We're gonna skip to that. It's the majority leader of stupid that we're going to go to first, which is Kevin McCarthy has really been openly critical about, Democrats. He desperately wants to be the Speaker of the House if the Republicans were to win in the midterms.
Mhm.
But yet Kevin McCarthy still has not come out in criticism of MTG going to that white nationalist, Klan rally this weekend.
Yeah.
And even so much so, she, because we talked about in an earlier show that she claimed, I didn't know. But literally before she took the microphone, the previous speaker that also introduced her was praising Hitler. And she even says, well, what's so wrong about Putin being the next Hitler? And of course, she's tried to retract that. Of course, in this area, you can't retract it. It's out on Twitter, it's out on the video. There's videotapes of her, speaking at this engagement. It's all over the world now. And so, I guess the point is that where's Kevin McCarthy? I mean, we know Marjorie Taylor Greene is stupid. We already, it probably has maybe even a little bit of a drinking problem. And, but Ken McCarthy's got these ambitions of replacing Nancy Pelosi if the Republicans were to win the House. And what's amazing is how he hasn't said a word since this happened. This has been a few days. Like where's Kevin?
And he's not. That's why they like him. They like him because he's never going to go against them. The days of the one thing that I think you and I can agree with, the earlier show, I think, we talked about certain things. The one thing that we can both agree is the old days of Republican leadership leaders, those days are gone, at least as far as I know. Like the old days of House speakers that were Republicans would correct their people, I think those days, I just don't know how that's ever going to happen.
I think a Newt Gingrich would have. I don't think the guy from Wisconsin, I can't remember his name anymore.
Paul Ryan.
He wouldn't have either. He would have been another Kevin McCarthy.
Now, for all the bad things, and I think he's hideous and he's a devil. He can be evil. What's the guy in the Senate? The old guy, the Republican guy.
Mitch McConnell.
Turtle. He's the last. Yeah, Turtle. He's the last of the ones that would probably correct someone.
Maybe.
Even though he doesn't. I don't know if he'd correct. I don't know that he would correct Ted Cruz. I think if Ted Cruz did something like this, I don't know. What do you think?
I figure Mitch McConnell's a sponsor of that white nationalist event. Like I mean, I don't think he's opposed to wearing a white sheet over his head.
No, I agree. But at least he would say something like, I don't agree with Ted Cruz being in front of those people. That was wrong. He was so stupid to be caught.
Yeah, I think he would have been more disappointed. Like Ted, let me show you how to wear the white sheet.
Exactly.
The white sticker goes on the upper sleeve, not on the elbow. Okay, we're gonna prove your Nazi white supremacist etiquette, Yeah. And just like I think it'd be more like that. No, I don't think there's an ounce. What little soul the Republican Party had left is long gone. I think even the Liz Cheneys and to a certain extent, what's the Utah guy, the Mormon, Mitch Romney.
Romney, yeah.
Mitt Romney. I think a lot of theirs is just trying to grab the camera. I'm not even sure how much integrity the Cheneys of the world and the Romneys of the world.
Yeah.
I just think that they are below average politicians that are trying to grab some type of voice in the Republican Party. I don't think they're even doing it for the right reasons. Sure. I just think that somebody that's an average person with even a little lick of sense, like a Liz Cheney or a Romney, is going to stand out in the Republican Party right now because
they're so bad.
It's gone that far off the rails,
Yeah, that's a good point.
So many people say how leftist the Democratic Party is. I don't think we've gone that far left policy-wise. I just think they've gone so far right.
Yes.
That they're goose stepping their ways right off the cliffs of insanity. I don't think we've left. I think we're sitting exactly where we were, like pre-Trump. But if you go that hard right, it isn't because of something we did. We didn't push you over that way. We were like, no, we don't want you to be an authoritarian party. We want to work with you. They've said, screw it. We're going this direction, and it followed. I mean, Trump's still like the Pied Piper of the Republican Party, just taking all the rats right off the cliff.
That's crazy.
I mean,
we talked about it on the show earlier, and I know it continues to just baffle me. And who knows? I mean, maybe we'll get some answers.
We are going to take a quick commercial break. And we'll be on topic 3 here in a few seconds.
All right.
If you haven't heard already, Two Queers in the Truck is on all your favorite audio podcast platforms, including Spotify, Amazon, and many, many more. So tune in however you want to. Y'all have a great week.
And
we are back. As Christian says, what he did with his pencil or his earpiece.
Sorry, my earpod. Okay, sorry.
So the next topic is the clubhouse is now open. So the EU has sped up the application process, which the president of the Ukraine signed this morning. Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Chechnya, Slovakia, Slovenia have all petitioned for the EU to speed up the application process and instantly add the Ukraine to the EU.
Oh, wow.
Economically.
Okay.
The initial
that happened on Monday.
That happened on Monday. And they've sped up the application process. So probably by the time this airs, the Ukraine will probably be in the European Union. Powerful news amongst the other economic news that is besetting Russia. Overnight, over the weekend, they lost the value of their currency went down 30%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They have been booted out of the SWIFT or the banking deal for the oil and gas industry. So many economic issues have hit them so hard that they literally are cratering, and I'm sure by the time this airs, it's only going to be worse because we're airing this for full transparency. We're recording this on Monday night for airing and editing by Wednesday at noon. So some things will be a little dated by the time this hits the airwaves, but for y'all listening at home, it's not looking good for Russia. Russia's going to turn into the country that's going to be like the dude that tries to sell you a bootleg Romex instead of a Rolex. Here, we need to sell you some oil. Like, will you buy it by the quart? Like they won't even sell barrels anymore. We can't even sell barrels of oil anymore. Like, here's a thimble of oil. Will you please buy it from me? We can't sell it to anybody.
That's right.
So these are some biggie deals. Did you have some breaking news? Was there something that
yes?
That
So And so full disclosure, as we were speaking, California Republican Kevin McCarthy, the top Republican in the House of Representatives, described his colleague speaking at a White House national conference as appalling and wrong. He must have been listening to you, Jenny.
That's amazing. Unfortunately, I'm not the only person trying to protect democracy. Several other people have pointed that out, that Kevin McCarthy should. And the correct Christian said White House. He meant white nationalist.
That's right. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's right. I'm sorry.
White nationalist. We did have a white nationalist in office.
That's right. In the White House. That's right.
And then our new guy, Biden, replaced that dude. But anyway, I mean, kudos to McCarthy, I guess. I mean, he waited a little ways. I mean,
it only took 48 hours. She spoke on, was it Friday or Saturday?
Well, I think CPAC was
Friday.
Saturday or Sunday. because she
CPAC,
spoke to the white nationalists before the CPAC event, I believe.
That's right. That's right.
I think
that's
they
true.
were one night apart.
That's right.
It's been long enough.
Yeah.
There should have been a response.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I guess better late than never, or better late than pregnant.
Well, yeah, but that's how they operate.
Yeah.
They
But that's interesting. That's amazing timing, because we are
exactly
recording this, then that breaks out that Kevin McCarthy. I don't know if the word condemns, but he definitely chastised MTG.
It's don't get caught again.
yeah. I mean, don't get caught again, boo boo. Type thing, and it's just kind of bizarro that somebody would do that, but it's I don't know, that's kind of cool. I don't think we've ever had that happen before, where we just talked about a topic and then
exactly.
Deal with that. Well, they still get the award.
Okay. That's for sure. The tinfoil hat award. All right.
Yeah, it's stuff that's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, that is funny.
I'm laughing on the inside, probably more than people.
And I mean, the only reason I found that was because I was actually looking to see what the ruble was at this moment, and then as I did that, it popped up, and I was like, "Oh, how funny!" So anyway,
that's amazing. Did you see it on Twitter, or where did it pop up at?
On Microsoft or whatever this feed is.
That's cool.
I have to look at it. Like one of those feeds that pops up.
Oh,
I have all these things that pop up. I don't know how to get rid of them. But yeah,
it's kind of crazy, actually, that my cell phone goes off all day with all these different like financial market things, and especially with the whole Russia thing. Like my Twitter sounds like a casino when I don't have it,
because it keeps ding ding.
An alert with like ding 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 ding. These are probably following way too many people.
That's right.
So next topic. Now we're going to move on to the majority leader of stupid. So what are the and again, we talk about this all the time. This is a running joke in this show, is even though it's not a member of Congress, Candace Owens, a prominent conservative Republican, at the CPAC meeting this weekend. And for people who don't know what CPAC is, it's kind of a conservative rally. Technically not white nationalist, but it kind of is. Same people. It's just like different events, different titles.
Exactly. They just go to.
And Candace Owens was one of the speakers, because she's a well-known conservative. Basically said that we should get rid of the Department of Education. And the whole audience, comprised of mostly Republicans, gave her a standing ovation. And it's unbelievable that their priorities like, well, we don't need this Department of Education. We don't need any school funding or the Pell Grants or any little pesky little like that. It's just
that's one of the things that I wish that we would have asked. Jeff Scott was on our other show, Coffee and Pandusa, was one of the original hosts, and he was really big into getting rid of the Department of Education. Like the Republicans, I guess that's some big libertarian thing as well. And I know it was more like because for smaller government and people, I don't really understand that's a big thing with more libertarian Republicans, and I guess even conservative Republicans. They what is that? I never understood why that's so important to them. Do they see the departments of education as something that? Oh, I know that was formed like in 1970s or something. I can't remember, and maybe they see that as like something the Democrats popped up because it helps Black and brown people. I don't know what the code is about because I don't get that. I
think on their end, they see educated liberals as a threat to them because they need to keep people stupid to actually believe the crap that they say. And so I think it's one of those, I call it red meat issues. They throw that out there and it makes them puff up their chest and feel all performative and and super patriotic and all the other crap that they do. And when they say, oh, we'll just get rid of the Department of Education, I don't think they even with the last president, and including the Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, that's never taught a class in her life, not a certified teacher, never worked in a school in a day in her life, was part of the founding family that created Amway. And the only claim of education they had is they donated a lot of money to build a college, a Christian college, but in no way, shape, or form even understands what the role of public education even does for our society. And I think therein lies the issue. I really, in some ways, I do believe that they don't really understand the value of public education. And that's why so many Republicans and conservatives are uneducated. And I also think they like it that way. Like the more, if they can find a way to dumb down America even more, dumber people are the ones that are going to follow an authoritarian leader. They're not going to question that. If they don't know history, if you don't know history, then you definitely are going to be more apt to repeat it. You're going to allow things like slavery to come up again. You're going to allow wars go on and on and on. We're not going to learn from any of these mistakes like we should be learning. And people that you vote with your brain, obviously that's the body part that you're going to use, and use critical thinking to decide who you're going to vote for. But if you're not real smart and you don't have a lot of critical thinking skills that you would learn in an education system, a fairly unbiased education system like a public education, I think they see the public education system as some kind of liberal indoctrination machine, when really the Department of Education main goal is to handle the funding of public schools, because every state sets their own curriculum. So, so I think a lot of it, I think a lot of it's just ignorance, and I think it just sounds really good. I think Republicans in general are more ignorant about what actually, how things even run.
Well, I Googled what we're talking about, and this one guy tried to explain it, and it said, the thing to remember is at their core, Republicans want power at the state level, not the national level. However, they pick their targets carefully and deliberately. Having an oversee Department of Education over the individual states allows the federal government to ensure education meets a national standard. No religion and science classes, no religion in science classes, standards are met, misinformation is avoided. So being this in mind, you can see why conservatives find the Department of Education a bad thing, because they want to force Christianity into public schools, like in Texas and in the South. And so, I mean, I know that's kind of a bias, but I understand what they're saying, is because that's why there's this attack on like critical thinking and all this kind of stuff, is because they don't
want people thinking.
It makes no sense.
I mean, just think back in 1936 when Hitler was really coming to power, and he was saying all the crazy false statements and all the big lies and if the German people had not been battered so much and were really thinking, I think a lot of them would have said, it kind of sounds good, but the reality is that's kind of scary what he's saying. And he's getting all stirred up, and so I think we run into that deal. Now we're up against our break.
Sure,
we are up against our second break, so we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to go on to topic number 5 here in just a few seconds. See you soon.
Excellent.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube. But you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
And we are back. So I did want to cut you off with your question. Go ahead and fire away your question, then we'll go to
one of those things that we're talking about, all these things that are being passed at the state level all around the country right now, where it's banning the books and critical thinking. You can't teach critical thinking, even though it's not even taught. all these things. Yeah, all these things that they're trying to do. I wonder if we can use the same, I'm just talking out loud, the same strategy that we use for a lot of things as progressives, so to speak, and use what they're doing against them. So is there some way that we can start to make Congress pass legislation that would require a minimum to be taught about slavery, about the genocide of our Native Americans, those things that about the Holocaust, some basic things that we would say, these are the things that you must teach as a minimum to receive federal funding.
That'd be interesting.
And if you don't, we release the federal, you can't, that's the same, anyway.
And the Department of Education is not beholden to the Congress, is beholden to the president, and one of an executive order guiding the Department of Education to have these basic critical thinking ideas forced and say, this is how you get your funding, and if you don't teach these things, then you not going to get your funding. That would be interesting. I don't know if Biden has the bandwidth to fight that fight, but that would be very interesting.
There'd be a lot of pushback.
Yeah, and I think he's probably got a full plate.
Sure.
But that is an interesting thought. I would love to see that movement happen. The next one is we're going to talk about the Supreme Court candidate, which is Judge Jackson. Interesting enough, the irony of this is, I guess some of the Republicans liked her last year when she got appointed to the Court of Appeals. She just got a promotion last year. And 3 Republicans actually voted for her when she got her newest appointment, which was Murkowski, Collins, and Lindsey Graham, Lady Graham. Yes, to appoint her, promote her up from the lower federal court to the Court of Appeals. So fascinating enough is that Republicans were okay with her just, I don't even think it was a full year ago. I think it was like 6 or 7 months ago. It was, I think, late 2021 when she got this new appointment. And for some reason now, the entire Republican Party is up in arms, trying to make the case that she's not qualified, even though she's been on the bench longer than Kavanaugh. All 3 of Trump's appointments, plus 1 more combined. This woman has more judiciary experience than 4 of the sitting 8 justices have right now. So half of the Supreme Court does not have as much experience as this one lady does, that just got promoted to the Court of Appeals just last year with Republican approval. So I find it very interesting that they're not educated on what they're saying. And what do you think? I mean, do you feel like that this is racism in play?
Well, I mean, I don't think that, but they'd never admit to it. I mean, that's just the world we live in today. They're never going to admit, it's they play by different rules than we do, and we have to just accept it, and we have to just call it what it is. And the sad part about it is that they are so screwed in their head, in my view. Right. They justify that Lady Graham would say, well, it was a different, that somehow they just, it's just,
But the irony is how 3 pretty high profile Republican senators promoted her, helped promote her just in 2021. Like, this isn't not 1991, not 2001, not 2011. 2021, last year.
So here's the deal. You talk about if this is racist or not. When Trump was elected, remember, he said he was going to appoint a woman. All right. And no one said anything. President Biden said, if I get elected, I'm going to appoint a Black woman. And they got all upset because he said the word Black. Here's the difference. When Trump said, and this is like one of these unwritten rules that we know exists, when Trump says, I'm going to appoint a woman, We just know that meant a white woman. No one thinks in their head it may be a Latina woman and so the only difference is Biden said the actual word black woman, and he didn't say the word white woman. Everyone knows that what he really meant was, I'm going to appoint, and the reason we know that is because what Joe Oldham told us when he was on the show before, of all of the federal judges that Trump appointed, every single one was white.
Yeah.
So we can assume, thinking people can assume when he says, I'm going to appoint a woman, that means a white woman. So for anyone to be mad that Biden said that is not being, you're not going to convince them.
Wait. I mean, literally, that I think that is the whole point, and I love the fact that Biden committed to appointing a black woman justice, and for one, because we've never had it. We've had a black man. We currently have a black man on the Supreme Court, Justice Thomas, and but I think it's ironic, and also back in that day when Reagan, I think it was Reagan or was it Bush, Papa Bush, that appointed Clarence Thomas. I can't remember. Might have been Papa Bush.
That was Bush.
Yeah,
I think that was.
I think it was Bush, but he committed to appointing a black male to. I mean, not that he was any different than the white conservatives,
That's right.
But you know, he had a little bit of problem with sexual harassment too. So he wasn't much. He was the Kavanaugh of the 1990s. But anyway, you know, the whole thing is, I do completely agree with you. We assume that when Trump promoted, you know, gave a woman a shot in 2020, we automatically knew she was going to be white because he was like 270-0.
Exactly.
Federal appointment. So we had no doubt where he was going to go. I mean, like he says so many racist things and has done so many racist things. We there was not going to, like, if he had appointed either a black or brown female judge, we probably would have like, are we living in the twilight?
Yeah, but I don't think anybody. I mean, but that's that's what I'm saying is that no one had
wasn't going to happen.
That was just, we knew when he said he's going to a woman, he meant a white woman. No, there was no one going, oh, I hope he appoints a black woman. No one even thought that. Yeah,
he would have appointed a white queer person to the Supreme Court before he would have appointed a black or brown.
Yes.
Male or female.
That's true.
You know, like, because there's no law having gays. But there is not a chance in hell that a black or brown person was going to get appointed by Trump, because you got to base it on his history of the 4 years of insanely racist appointments. Anyway, so we're actually going to our last topic, which is the Magnificent A-Hole of the Week award. We're doing that. And of course, obviously, hands down, it's a joint award this week, because we are going to renominate Putin, obviously, because he is not only did he in fact invade Ukraine last week when we were filming this, he had not done that yet, but it was pretty obvious, it was pretty ominous. But we're also going to get his co-awardees is the entire Republican Party, the GOP, or as I said in an earlier show, the girlfriends of Putin. So the entire Republican Party has just been cucked and controlled by Putin now. And so the GOP, the girlfriends of Putin, and Putin himself get the Magnificent A-Hole of the Week award, and probably will continue to get these honors for a while. We'll switch it up next week, but for sure, he's literally ruined Russia's economy. And I think it's funny with he's gonna, you know, China's already agreed they're gonna buy some wheat from him. And I'm going, well, let me tell you, the moment wheat makes more profit than oil, and we start running our car off wheat, and our car go vegan, Let me know. But I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure a bushel of wheat is a lot less expensive than a barrel of oil. And I think anytime that you are so power hungry and so blinded by power and so blinded to a free world and democracy that you're just going to invade one of your neighbors no matter what. It'd be like me and you living next to each other, and I'm going,
Sure.
Andrew and Christian have got a lot of nice stuff. I'm gonna go there.
Go over there.
Hey, you don't mind? I'm annexing your house into my house.
Yeah.
So you don't mind? And I'm gonna make a few rule changes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he's doing here.
Yeah.
And it's just very bizarre that he's just moving into his neighbor's house, just saying, I got a few of my kids living in your house, and his claim is, well, there's a lot of Russians that live in Ukraine, so I'm going in to protect them. I'm going, well, yeah, but when you're launching missiles, it's not just hitting Ukrainian buildings, it's hitting people with Russians living there. Because even the Russians living in Ukraine are saying, we don't want you here either. That's why we live here instead of in Russia. If we wouldn't have let Russia put up with you, we would have stayed in Russia.
Exactly. Well, no, what you said is an exact point. And some of the people have said that he started invading last Monday, right? A week.
No, we filmed on Monday. So I think he started the invasion on Wednesday? I think he invaded the same day that we aired our shows.
Okay. Well, okay, but what they're saying is how the people that look at these kind of things, they were looking at him and they're saying that obviously they did not expect Ukraine to stand up as long as they have, and it's been I don't know how many days that they have not been able to capture a major city, and they thought it would fall in 2 or 3 days, and they haven't been able to, and so because it hasn't, people are now sending more weapons, which makes it less likely they're going to invade more because they have tank busters now that countries have been sending them and so forth. But the most important thing they said is to understand that Putin expected when he made those 2 states, because the last time he had just said those 2 states were independent, those 2 states, right. and he invaded in those 2 states. He thought those people would take up arms and fight with them. They didn't. And because they didn't take up arms, he couldn't say, you see, they wanted us to come in. And because they didn't, it's like all the things turned, because that was his whole plan. His whole plan was he's been selling this, this fake, he's been trying to con the world saying, we're only doing, like you said, we're only doing this because they want us to come in there. And they were hoping when they did it, people would go, oh yes, thank you, we're going to fight for you. But they didn't. They were saying, no, we don't want you here. And that's what, the miscalculation. So one of the guys, the congressman that I like, the cute guy, the one that with Liz Cheney's on the January 6th committee. Yeah. He said that Russia really is a paper tiger. Their military really isn't as great as people say. And this is showing signs that they really aren't. They're running out of gas. The truck, the machines are old. But more importantly, the reason he's doing this nuclear threat, or he's raising the level for the nuclear, he's doing the old Russian war, and they're insinuating that he's only doing that because they don't even think that their nuclear weapons are actually, even if they did shoot them, they may blow up there.
Yeah. Well, a long time ago, because we both, the Soviet Union and the United States, when we conquered Germany, we captured as many Nazis as we could, and interrogated them on information, stuff like that. And many of them that had been in the Soviet Union during the war and got pushed back into Germany, when they got captured by us, they were telling us all these stories about how powerful the Soviet Union was, because they really wanted to tell us what we wanted to hear. And so a lot of those stories the Soviet Union's power got greatly embellished. It got greatly embellished, and over time, they built up how powerful the Soviet Union really was, egregiously. But then you think about, flash forward into the 1990s when we're building the International Space Station. A lot of people don't realize every part that the Russian Federation made, NASA had to throw out before they could launch into space. They had to remanufacture. They basically had to go back and make the part right, because the Russian manufacturing process was that inaccurate, and they would have never been able to make the International Space Station. So none of the space station was actually made by the Russians, even though it's a joint project, because their technology is so bad. And even now, that is one of the reasons they're so scared of the United States, is they're obviously one of the good things that we really do. It's not really a good thing. Our technology in the military and aerospace is really second to none. It is that we vastly have the, if we don't have we don't have necessarily the biggest military. I'm sure China has more soldiers.
They do.
But we have a military that is so effective and so technologically advanced. It's one of the reasons why Russia and China posture so much, because they realize in head-to-head war, if they can't even roll over the Ukraine, which is a fraction of the size of Russia, how in the world would they actually take us on? So he has to posture and say, well, their weapons on special high top, double top secret alert. You already know about it. And I'm the tough kid. It's not really tougher than you. But when you're playing poker like Texas Hold'em, when you bluff, you really got to sell the bluff. And of course, Putin is selling that bluff like nobody's business, but nobody's buying it. So they all know. You don't have anything, boo boo. Like you have.
Well, that's why I was so excited that on this Monday, that President Biden said that. I'll quote the newspaper. It says, President Biden offered a curt response when asked Monday whether Americans should be worried about the possibility of nuclear war with Russia. He said, no. And I'm sure there are Republicans saying, oh, he needs to take him seriously. And this, you know what? We have intelligence. I think they realize, I mean, should you always be afraid of you got to be responsible. But at the same time, I think we should be more afraid that Putin is becoming delusional like Trump, and he's backed up into a corner. But one of the things that you and I have talked about before is Russia has a way of cleansing crazy people at the top that we're not privy to, but they still live in that old system where all it takes is a couple of, like you said, oligarchs or billionaires who can't get access to their, and start saying, you know what, General,
we saw this
$1 million for you guys.
We saw this with the French Revolution. And let them eat cake, and didn't end well for the royal family. In Russia, the Russian Revolution in 1917, they killed every member of the Russian royal family. I'm talking about cousins, second cousins, twice removed, their dogs, their cats. They killed every royal.
They didn't want any,
except one. I don't mean to laugh. One, I think one escaped to a different country, and that was it. Like they just took that entire royal bloodline. So not only were we going to change how this government's run, but we're going to kill there's not going to be a new czar. There is never going to be another Russian czar.
And come on, and admit, Jenny, the same rule that we have. We're human beings in America. And remember, we talked about one of the things that Trump miscalculated is human beings just don't like dicks. All right.
Yeah.
And human beings in Russia, regardless of how communist you are, how Marxist, there are probably a lot of human beings that just don't like Putin. And are like, I'm kind of sick of this guy.
So in Russia, you're having a lot of people that are sneaking out of the military. There's a lot of them that are refusing to go to the Ukraine. And most of all, there's tons of protests just erupting all over Russia, tons of arrests. There's tons of unrest. And in the heart of hearts of Putin that no matter how, and this is just what is getting leaked out.
Yes,
With
yeah.
very
This is what we're being allowed to see. Yeah.
If people are sneaking it out in different ways, because that's the internet, and
Sure.
and if Russia can lock it down, but you could still have anonymous going in there and programming hate the pump things that says Putin is an asshole. Literally, that's happening where anonymous and these other hackers are doing all kinds of crazy things to different systems in there. You literally, and shutting some things down. You know, you got to know that the world hates Putin right now, and including his own neighbors.
I think his own. I think I think many of his own people.
And you know, that Russian Revolution happened in 1917, just about 100 years ago. We're kind of, you know, we had our version of the Spanish flu. I think we're about to see another Russian Revolution.
That's right. Yep.
And on that note, we are out of time. We have gone a little over just because of the time.
Perfect timing.
The kookery. But on that note, you know, Putin better not say, let them eat cake.
That's right.
Instead of cake, he might be getting a little bit of cock.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, till next week, we appreciate y'all listening in, and have a fabulous, and we'll depart with a little bit of Dancing Queen.
Bye, boo-boo.
Bye, boo-boo.
Bye, queens.
Bye, queen. Yes, queen. Bye. Hey, y'all, thanks for tuning in and watching Two Queers of the Truck. You guys are what makes us great, and we'll see you next week. Bye, Christian.
Bye, boo-boo.